self-worth crashes because the abuser put you down continually, made you feel less than, and also, and this is the hardest part to accept, because you accepted treatment that you wish you hadn't. So in other words, you participated in lowering your own value, which makes you feel worse about yourself, and that becomes a negative feedback loop. You may have a lot of value, but maybe you don't see it anymore. Maybe you never saw it to begin with because of the childhood programming that you received from a narcissistic parent. Also, because you stayed with the person who continually gave you crumbs of love, like dosing to keep you there. And now it's time to learn that you can bake you a cake and enjoy that instead of waiting on any more crumbs. Say no thank you to all the behavior and the treatment that's telling you that you don't matter, that you don't have value, that you are not good enough, or that you don't deserve to be treated in the way that you know you deserve to be treated. You're not picky, prude, rude, boring, elitist, demanding, strict, or anything else that someone who doesn't value you calls you because you don't give them the attention they want. You have standards. When people desire you but they don't value you, they'll give you attention. They might even give you lots of attention at the beginning, which is what's called love bombing. It's not real love, it's love bombing. And essentially that's just attention. It's not love. Attention is cheap and love is deep. So are you looking for deep or cheap? If you accept anything less than worthy behavior, you are showing yourself that you are not worth it, that you don't love yourself, that you don't value yourself, and you're communicating that to others in a non-verbal way. Self-love is the practice of knowing your worth in action. Your actions show you how much you value yourself or not. When you accept less than what you are worth in the moment just to have company or help, because you know a lot of abusers seem really helpful at first, right? So if you accept less than because you want that company, because you want that help, you're going to create long-term damage to yourself, like self-doubt, shame, regret, disappointment, and resentment. So raise your standards in how you honor yourself and what you're willing to accept from others so you can cultivate long-term peace, self-love, self-worth, and healthier relationships with people who actually value you. So put these 3 simple steps into practice and you're going to see how your self-worth starts increasing, how you feel stronger in your stance about what kind of behavior is supportive of your worth and value and what is only trying to tear you down to someone else's level so they can feel better about their own insecurities. I'm sending you all a big hug.
It is very important for us to have a good level of self-worth. When we have a low self-worth, we will find ourselves in more toxic situations, entertaining people and things that don't belong in our life. We will find ourselves in greater levels of depression, unhealthiness. So much can go wrong because we lack self-worth. And I don't want that to happen to any of you, man or woman. Taking things personally is one of the greatest deteriorators of self-worth. Because when we take things personally, we internalize the things that people say and do to us, or even just what we come across, and we personalize it rather than realizing it's not always about us. And when we learned how to not to take things so personally, how to not be so offended by everything someone says, you will find yourself being able to stay on a more positive path. How to keep your mind in a healthier place, all right? So it's important to guard yourself in that way. And again, not guard yourself as in have walls up. Just guard yourself in the sense that I'm not going to let this negative energy penetrate my spirit, penetrate my mind, because then it can wreak havoc within our body, in our emotional state, and cause all kinds of problems, as well as mentioned, decreasing our self-worth. When we feel better, all right, and when I say feel better, when we start to take better care of ourselves and we start to feel better from a physical sense, Our mind starts to be more positive. We start to be more happy. We start to be more productive. When you're not taking care of yourself, you start to be more fatigued, more stressed out. You may get more anxiety. So much can go wrong because we are not giving our body what it needs, all right? And we're running it ragged. We're letting life run us into the ground. You've got to take control of that and take steps towards greater health. You need more sleep, all right? You got to get some rest. Too many of you are operating off 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and that's not enough for you. You need time to relax and recharge. You need more hydration. Because again, when we start to feel good internally, all right, we start to feel good about who we are emotionally and mentally. We start to have a greater level of self-worth because we like what we see in the mirror, because we have a more positive outlook, because our minds are not being contaminated by the negative things that we have been putting in our body, and you're gonna start to see the positive results. So start taking better care of yourself if you want to increase your self-worth. A lot of people lack self-worth because they're still holding on to the damage from their past. It goes into the internalizing of what people have done to us and how we've dwelled in it, how maybe you swept it under the rug and you thought you were fine, but you're not, all right? And how we're holding on to these negative experiences that have now shaped the way that we view ourselves.
Self-worth is distinct from self-esteem. Our self-esteem is derived from our abilities, accomplishments, social positions, and things we believe we can achieve. We can bolster our self-esteem by improving our skills or performance, and our self-esteem goes up and down depending on how we're doing in various aspects of our lives. In contrast, unconditional self-worth is distinct from our abilities and accomplishments. It's not about comparing ourselves to others. It's not something that we can have more or less of. Unconditional self-worth is the sense that you deserve to be alive, to be loved and cared for, to take up space. I believe that pervasive low self-worth is a root cause of mental illness. And over the last decade, we've seen a rise in mental illness throughout the US and the world. According to the World Health Organization, depression is the leading cause of ill health and disability worldwide. Think about that for a moment. How do we get to a place where so many of us struggle with low self-worth? A place where more and more people are living with mental illness and addiction. Unconditional self-worth is the antidote to low self-worth. Unconditional self-worth is a way out of self-criticism, shame, and unhealthy behavior. It is a way out of depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. It is time for us to base our worth on the fact that we are human, to cultivate a worth that persists even when life does not go as we hoped. Self-acceptance. I think many of us struggle with low self-worth because we think there's something wrong with us, and we refuse to accept ourselves the way we are. We receive so many messages that we are not okay the way we are. We're told that we need to change our bodies, our clothes, our jobs, even our personalities to be acceptable. See if you can let go of the thoughts you have about how you think you should feel, look, and be different. Instead, focus on the things you like about yourself. And over time, begin to embrace your quirks, your awkward laugh, your crooked smile, your unusual way of thinking about things. Through this acceptance, you are acknowledging that you are worthy just the way you are. Be there for yourself when life gets rough. I think many of us abandon ourselves during times of challenge. We engage in harsh self-criticism, which only leaves us feeling worse. And what we need most when we are going through a difficult time is for someone to say, I see you. I see how badly you're hurting. I'm here. And we can do this for ourselves. The next time you experience emotional pain, acknowledge how you are feeling and offer yourself some comfort. Place your hand on your chest or give yourself a hug and say something kind and soothing to yourself. I often wonder what the world would look like if we all cultivated unconditional self-worth. What would you find the courage to do if you knew you were worthy? What would you dare to dream if your self-worth wasn't at stake? What would you stop doing if you knew you were already worthy?